In a world of very fast money when it comes to Pokemon cards, I want to talk to you about something a little bit more sustainable today. Today's video is all about building a sustainable Pokemon collection slash investment portfolio. And the first statement I made about a world of fast money, we all know people are doing anything and everything they can to get their hands on product as cheap as possible. We've seen the Walmart and Costco fights. We've seen online bots and scalpers everywhere, literally just buying up bulk product to resell it online instantly for double the price or 50% profit, whatever it might be. So in a world where that's happening, if you're a true collector, true investor, this is the video for you. This is one of those videos where we discuss what it means to put that in practice. So really, if I break this video down, I think you should have three buckets. One is like the true investment, the basis, the foundations to your investment portfolio, the solid bonds and stocks, so to speak, property. Like that's what I'm talking about. You need the basis of Pokemon investing. So we'll talk through that. What are some strong foundations you can base your investment portfolio on? The second one, I think you should have a little bit of or at least a few risky items. A few plays, and whether it's 20% of your collection or 30% of your collection or 10% of your collection or investment portfolio it's just a bit more risky. Like it could pay off massively, or it could also, lose you perhaps a little bit of money or flatline for a long period of time. And the third one, I think as part of your investment portfolio and collection, you've got to have things you just don't care about. As in, you don't care about whether they gain or lose money, you just want them as part of your collection. And if they gain money, awesome. Now, whether that's a great PSA 10 slab that you've always had your eyes on and gone, man, I love the look of that card. I love the Pokemon, I love the artwork, I just want that as part of my collection. Or whether it is, a sealed product that, like for me, Rayquaza is one of my favorite Pokemon. And I can remember paying about 300 Australian dollars about 5 years ago for this Celestial Storm Elite Trainer Box. And at the time it was like, Elite Trainer Boxes, are they good investments? Is it going to go up in price? And it's like, well, look at it now. And at the time I was like, I don't care. I don't care whether it goes up or down. I just love the artwork and I love the Elite Trainer Box because it's got Rayquaza on it. And sometimes those investments can actually perform the best. So let's break those three topics down. Before we do though, quick shout out to today's video sponsor, which is of course the Collector app. If you don't have it, there'll be a link in the description to download it. You can check out my journey in the content creator section. This is the best app to put all your sealed and all your singles in there. So your whole collection or investment portfolio can go in there. The data that's on this app for every single and sealed product is phenomenal. You can look at set analytics for all English and Japanese sets to see how good the total set value is, what the top performing hits are from each set. There's data if you're a pro user that goes so far back in time. It just gives you so much solid information to base reference points on for investing in the future. This is an awesome app. So again, link in the description to download the Collector app. Now, let's talk about the first pillar, the foundation to your whole investment portfolio. Because if you want to create a sustainable portfolio, I don't think it's a good idea to do what a lot of people are doing. And that is obviously rushing out, buying product, flipping it and reselling it for more. There's people taking out lines of credit to buy Pokemon cards in the hope that they can get some and then make money off it, or invest in it and beat the rate of return or the interest that they're paying. Like that is not the basis as a strong portfolio. That is not the basis for a strong portfolio at all. I certainly don't urge anyone to take out loans to fund Pokemon card investing. Basis is, really you should be using disposable income, of course, to fund any Pokemon related purchases, in my opinion. And when it comes to building that strong foundation, you really need to think long term. And you can't go wrong with booster boxes. Like ask yourself, what's one booster box across the course of Pokemon history that's gone down in price? And the answer that you'll find is none. Zero. Zilch. Not one Pokemon booster box has gone down in price across the course of history. What's going to change that, really? Like if you buy every new set with a couple of booster boxes or a booster box case that comes out, how are you going to go wrong? You are building one of the greatest foundations to your Pokemon card investment portfolio that you can possibly build. Even some of the poorer sets, they still go up in value. Do they go up in the same value, or do they go up in the same rate of value that the better sets do? No. And that's where you've got to use your nous. That's where I guess, maybe people like myself can help you decide what's going to be a better investment than something else. But ultimately, if you're looking at building a solid foundation, by all means, like literally just buy a booster box or 2 booster boxes or a booster box case or whatever your funds allow you to buy of every single set that comes out. If you do that, you have built one hell of a solid foundation. The other thing I see a lot of people new to the hobby doing, and if you follow the Reddit forum, Pokey Investing on Reddit, you'll see so many people say like, oh, check out my sealed collection. Oh, sorry, check out my sealed investment portfolio. Like, how cool is it? And it might just be like a bunch of collection boxes or, just a bunch of ancillary products that maybe they will go up in value. Maybe it's a good collection box with, a good promo, a good pack selection, and it will go up in value. I'm not saying that'll never happen. Of course, everything Pokemon just seems to go up in value sealed, even if it's a poor collection box. But there are some good collection boxes which will go up in value very quickly. However, a lot of these you see, it's like, whoa, you've got so many like poor collection boxes. The other thing is like, how liquid are those going to be in the future? As in, is anyone even going to want to buy that? But if it's got good pack selection in it and a good promo, people will want to buy collection boxes. But if we're talking basis of your portfolio, booster boxes are always liquid, even if it's from a poor set. Like I can guarantee you, the worst Pokemon card set in history, which is Emerging Powers from Black and White era, which is near on 15 years old now, if someone put an Emerging Powers sealed booster box on eBay at 99 cents starting auction with no reserve, they would not be scared at the result of that. Like, no one would be. People would bid on it, and people will probably pump the bids all the way up. Pump isn't the right word. Bid on it all the way up to maybe, I don't know, $3,000 or something, even though it's the worst set ever made. Of course, you compare it to better black and white sets like Dragons Exalted or Plasma Storm or Plasma Freeze or Plasma Blast, and you might see auctions exceeding $10,000 for those booster boxes. So massive discrepancy between the two, better sets versus worse set. But you get my point. Like, they are so liquid in the future, booster boxes. You're never going to run into trouble selling them. Put on a collection box with a bad pack selection and no promos inside it, and it could just sit there forever and a day. Unless you sell it super, super cheap, someone might never want to buy it. So there is the basis, in my opinion, to a strong Pokemon card investment portfolio. That is, just buy booster boxes from each set. Then, if you want to use your nous, buy more of those sets and more of those boxes that have a better total set value, which means they have better hits inside them. Why? Because they're more liquid in the future. People will want to buy them. There's more demand for those sets, which will drive up the price of them quicker as a sealed product. Now, the second part, this is where I think you should have a bit of fun with it. Like, maybe take a few risks. And whether that be you think, oh, this promo's just come out, or I think this card out of a set, now that it's 9 months old, I think, printing has been pretty strong for this set. 9 months is gone. There's so many new sets that need to come out. I don't think they're going to print it again. I think it's reached the floor of the market, that single. And maybe you go, okay, well, maybe I'll buy myself 10 copies of that card if it's a $200 card, or if it's a cheaper card, like a $20 card, you might buy 20 copies of it or something, and thinking, maybe this is my more risky investment where I might, double my money in a very short period of time. That I think is the fun part. Or maybe, buying a sealed product that you wouldn't normally play in that space. Maybe you think, oh, well, obviously Evolving Skies is getting very expensive as a booster box. Maybe the 3-pack blister with Umbreon inside there is a cool investment choice because, once someone can't afford the booster box, they turn to Elite Trainer box. And once they can't afford that, they turn to individual blisters or 3-pack blisters. And look, we see that, like Team Up. I think most collectors or investors will want a piece of Team Up. And like, you might look at the booster box and go, well, geez, I can't afford a $10,000 booster box. And even the Elite Trainer box now, like, what's that going for? I haven't even checked, but is it like a $3,000 Elite Trainer box? You go, whoa, like, they're way too dear. But I can afford myself a $400 3-pack blister or a $120, single sleeved booster pack. I haven't checked the prices. They're just, for example, but you get my point. So you might want to risk something in that space. So I think you should have, in terms of creating a sustainable investment, like maybe it's just a bit boring to go booster box, booster box, booster box, booster box. You got to have a little bit of fun with it, don't you? You got to have a little bit of risk. Like, that's the whole idea behind investing. Like, you are taking a risk no matter what you do when you're investing in something. And I think you should have a little bit of fun there as part of a sustainable future in the hobby, to have a bit of risk. Like I said, those examples before. And finally, I think the third part that I was saying is, in some cases, you just got to buy what you like. It might be a PSA 10 slab. Like personally, I love the Dragonite from obviously the all new set, might be out of frame, Ascended Heroes. That Dragonite SIR, I think, is a beautiful card. I would love to get that card. And in fact, maybe when the floor of the market comes down, because it's not a good time to buy now. It's so dear. Well, I shouldn't say dear. It's reflective of the amount of supply out there compared to what the market's willing to pay for it. But eventually, as we see more supply of Ascended Heroes come out and more get open, we're going to see more supply of that Dragonite come onto the market. And who knows, maybe eventually it'll become a $200 card. Maybe that'll be its floor someday. I don't know. And if it is, I'll buy it because I like it. Maybe it doesn't get that cheap. Maybe it's a $300 card and that's the floor of its market. I'll buy it because I like it. And if it goes back up, so be it. If it doesn't, who cares? Because I've got a beautiful card sitting in my collection. Now, you could, of course, do the exact same thing for sealed product. And I mentioned at the start of this video, that beautiful Rayquaza Celestial Storm Elite trainer boxes. It was like, okay, the Lugia box from Plasma Storm, that Elite trainer box was dear. There was some XY boxes starting to get dear about 5 or 6 years ago, but it was like, oh, Sun and Moon was printed pretty heavy compared to some of those XY Elite trainer boxes. Are they really going to go up in value? And we heard the exact same thing during Sword and Shield. Well, now they're even printed more, like Vivid Voltage, Darkness Ablaze, absolutely smashed into the ground. Maybe some sets like Fusion Strike and Lost Origin got some, slightly smaller Elite trainer box print runs, but they're still pretty big. And it's like, I was thinking to myself, are they even going to go up in value? Like, is a Celestial Storm Elite trainer box even going to go up in value? Like, it's printed pretty heavy compared to what they were in the past because they weren't really that well known during XY era, particularly, of course, that Plasma Storm Lugia Elite trainer box. But I was like, you know what? Stuff it. I'm going to spend a little bit more. Like, I could buy, obviously, very cheap Sword and Shield Elite trainer boxes, but I wanted to spend the 300 Australian dollars, about 200 US, on that Celestial Storm box because I love the artwork. And I was thinking, okay, it sounds dear to me at the time, but if it goes up or doesn't go up, who cares? And what do you know? Of course, that booster box, that Elite trainer box has gone absolutely crazy. So I think that's the third part to being sustainable in this hobby / your investment portfolio, is buying some things that you like. Well, there you go. There's my 3 pillars to creating a sustainable Pokemon investing journey. I'm Michael, this is PokeOz. Thank you so much everyone for tuning into the channel. We really, really appreciate it. I say we, it's just me. I really appreciate it. Thanks everyone, and I'll catch you next time.